Hey guys, Wade Willis here for Wade's Movie Reviews, and my first movie review I'm doing on this channel is for the new Mulan movie, and boy was I super disappointed. Initially, I was incredibly excited seeing that it was going to be different. Once I heard it wasn't going to be a shot-by-shot remake, I thought there was going to be a lot of potential here. And every single decent idea they have that is unique, they fail to execute in this movie. In the original movie, Mulan was an incredibly likable character that all of us could relate to in different ways. And they focused on her, how brave and courageous she was, and how great of a job she did thinking outside the box. And that's why she was successful. This one, they decided to go a completely different route, and Mulan is able to do everything that she is because she has magical chi powers. And the only thing she really has to overcome is not, the fact that she's not as strong as other people. It's the fact that she doesn't use her chi powers, her magic enough. And the movie, the only difference from her in the beginning to the end is just her using more of her magic, basically. She doesn't really grow and develop kind of at all. In my opinion, I'm sure there's some people that thought it was really inspiring. I was not inspired at all. And the new movie shows you how, the difference in the first scene. The first scene in this movie, instead of having it start off with the Huns, they have different villains in this one, but in the original, the Huns start off, you see how ominous the Huns are, powerful, how frightening they are. Now, the villains in this never give you any type of emotion like they do with the Huns in the original, but that's not really my biggest issues with it. This one, they focus on the chicken scene, and that's what they start off with, and that is kind of an homage to the chicken scene in the original, where in the original she uses her dog with a bone at the end of the stick, cuts a hole in this feed that is on behind the dog, and has she basically feeds the chickens by using her intelligence to come up with another way to do it. In this one, they decide to show how overpowered Mulan is, and she's chasing a chicken, almost dies, isn't listening to what her father's saying, is destroying things all over the town, or it's a town square thing. And then once she almost dies, you see that she's able to use all these basically her magical chi to save herself. The chicken ends up going where it needs to go. The town is in disarray. And her father, instead of being upset with her for pissing everyone off in the town and breaking a bunch of things in the town, he's proud of her, and she's showing off with her sword and stuff, basically flexing on everyone. Everyone's still pissed at her, and her dad's like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. No, a normal dad would be super pissed that you broke all that crap in town and you messed with everyone else's day. And in the original, she does her house is in disarray because of it, but it's funny and likable, and you're starting to see her intellect and that she thinks outside the box. So it is important. This, you just see she's already super powerful at the age of 6. The movie as a whole, there are parts where visually it is breathtaking, but they try to do too much with the cinematography at times. And when we're introduced to the villains in this, the first fight scene that they have, which is basically kind of their version of them going onto the Great Wall of China. They're kind of going into a town, I believe, this time. I don't remember exactly because I didn't care, but there's times where they would flip the screen, trying to make it look cool, but honestly it just makes you feel sick. And they try to stylistically make it look kind of like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon at time with some wire work, but it's done in a much inferior way. And I saw what they were doing, but just the execution of it, the cinematography at times is bad. Again, there are some really breathtaking shots, but they try to do too much. And that is the big flaw in this movie as a whole. The director and the writers, they try to do too much. The movie's, I think, 20 to 30 minutes longer than the original. You feel no emotion basically throughout the whole thing, and they show you too much, show and tell you too much without it being of value. The way people respond is even less realistic in this than in the cartoon, where there's tons of comedic breaks. You got a freaking dragon in it who's joking around. That feels more real to me and organic than how people respond in a bunch of situations in this. I talked about how the father was like proud of her after, and then eventually was like, oh, you need to suppress your chi and you need to eventually be married, because the mom like kind of yells at him and he realizes, oh, people see her magical powers, this could be bad, she just needs to like marry someone for our family. Okay, strange. Mulan, they try to tell us that she cares about the family a lot and family's so important to her, but they tell you, they don't show you it really. She seems a lot more selfish, I would say, in this than in the original. When she's going to the matchmaker thing, and again, this is like at least 1,000 years ago, probably 2,000 years. I can't remember when the story's supposed to take place, but a long time ago. And she's supposed to be matchmaking with someone, and you could tell she's upset that she's supposed to be matching with someone to be married. In the original movie, she's like trying to like write down notes, so she performs to the best of her abilities in this matchmaker thing because she doesn't want to let her family down. And again, new one, she gives off the vibe that she doesn't want to be match and doesn't really care about her family as much. It's more about like her, which is fine, but it just makes they throughout the movie they talk about how important family is to her, and you don't get the same feeling that you had in the animated version. They try to do the same matchmaker scene, and honestly, the funniest part in the movie was when Mulan's talking to her sister and she has her face paint and she's like, this is my excited face, this is my like sad face, and it's like the same, and she's like, yeah, I can't show like any emotion, like I can't mess with the makeup at all. That part, and again, I'm not delivering it as well as the actress of Mulan, she's actually decent. I just feel the writing is horrible. But that was the funniest part in the movie, which I'm fine if they're not trying to make it funny, but again, just the humor was not good in it. And that was the funniest part, and it was not that funny. And they try to make it like a whole spider thing, and there's a huge spider, and the lady eventually sees that there like was a spider, a huge spider, and is still upset about it, and it kind of makes less sense of her being upset than in the animated version, where it's just more chaotic and a lot funnier. But whatever, it's fine. So the matchmaker's upset. She's brought shame to her family by this. In this version, they do not let this breathe at all. There's no time for us to be like, oh yeah, she just, disappointed her family. And in the animated version, she has the talk with her dad, and it's actually like very heartfelt. And you could tell she's disappointed about letting her family down. And again, you see how much she cares about her family. They're not telling you, you see it through her interactions. This one, they go right into basically that her father has to represent the family and go to war. Okay, so you take out that, and then she sees her father trying to do the stuff. He's hurt, all this. She's trying to get him not to go to battle, but again, not as heartfelt as the animated version. And then the montage where she's deciding to, leave, again, I felt no emotion in it. And I'll talk about this now. They use the melodies and parts of the songs from the original. Again, this isn't a musical, so it's not, you don't have all the catchy songs that all of us sing and that we love. Fine, I'm cool with it being more serious, but the music is just not good. They use the melodies of songs that we love, but it's just done in a way it's very light. You hear it lightly throughout the movie, different parts, and you're like, oh, that's from the original. And then it made me feel like, why am I watching this instead of the original? This is a worse version. I don't like it. I feel like I would have rather had them pay someone like John Williams, or they spent millions and millions of dollars on this movie. Have John Williams, Hans Zimmer. These people have done Disney movies before. I mean, John Williams has done all the Star Wars stuff. They own Star Wars now. Get someone big to do the music and just have it more cinematic. They tried to make it cinematic, but using the old melodies to have you be nostalgic, but it's just not done well. And you could have just have someone better. And if if I find out that one of those people ended up doing the score, I'd be incredibly shocked because it was just poorly done. I didn't like the music. Like, do better, Disney. You spent all this money on it. You can afford someone to do a great score, and you could put those melodies into it. John Williams does this amazing in the Star Wars movies. He puts different melodies from other parts of his songs in it that gives you, like, you reminisce about, oh, this is like the Anakin theme or things like that. It makes you remember it, and he's a master. This is bad. The music, horrible, in my opinion. There's no Mushu in it. Fine, they try to make this more serious. They put in a phoenix, though. Okay, we're going to have some magical stuff. She has magical chi. We got a phoenix. I'm a huge fan of phoenixes. I have a phoenix tattoo. The phoenix is just there to kind of move the plot along in certain situations. You almost forget that the phoenix even exists, and then it's almost like a plot armor for her in certain situations. And I'm going to get into the phoenix a bit more later on. But the phoenix basically guides her. Once she leaves, she gets lost. And the phoenix, which is supposed to represent stuff with her family, her and her dad have a whole talk about it. When she breaks the phoenix and when she's acting a fool in the beginning, cool. The phoenix, it represents stuff with her family. Got it. Don't have a problem with it. They also have a witch who's working with the villains in this movie. This is a part I actually was a huge fan of adding in the witch. Like, if you're gonna have magical chi and stuff, cool. I'm fine with adding the witch. The execution of it, things with the witch looked really cool. Like, out of everything visually, what they did with the witch was probably the best part in the movie. They make her turn into bats, other people. Like, the witch could have been a much better character, and I wish they would have spent more time on the witch instead of just, they show how powerful she is. You see that she's, kind of treated like crap by the villains in this. She's on their side, but they kind of treat her as a subordinate and like trash. You find out that she was treated like crap before. Maybe some flashbacks of her in her earlier in life would have gone a long way, I think. There are tons of things they could have taken out of the movie that were completely unnecessary and added in stuff with a witch. When Mulan goes to camp, she has an altercation like in the animated version, but the altercation in the animated version, she punches the dude. Okay, fine, that's acceptable. She took it too far, whatever. This one, she pulls out her sword on the guy, and I'm just like, that takes it way too far. When you take out a weapon, again, it makes her less likable, in my opinion. Punching some dude that runs into you, okay, you're taking it too far. Taking a sword out to the guy is like way too extra, in my opinion. The whole training part in this new version is like 4 times longer at least, and you get nothing out of it. You realize, like, they have the water jug scene, and instead they have, in the original, they have where basically they have the wood, and it's holding the water jugs, which is incredibly difficult. In this, they're holding these jugs of water, and like, the reason I'm pointing this out, I've done like, I've wrestled my whole life. I've done things where I'm holding heavy things out to the side on my shoulders. You can only do that a few minutes, like anyone. And these jugs, I mean, it must be 20 pounds each with all the water. And somehow, like, the fact that even the worst soldiers are able to do this slightly is unrealistic. But whatever, that's the least annoying thing. One of the least annoying things in the movie. But just something I point out. You see that the reason she's struggling in the beginning is because she's not using enough of her chi. At one point, she gets in an altercation with the same guy who she had an altercation with earlier on. And they're kind of like battling, and then it just escalates and they're fighting too hard. And then she uses her chi and almost impales the dude with a spear. She like does some weird, kick thing with the chi, kicks it at him. Okay, it looks cool, almost kills him. The commander, instead of being like, dude, what the hell are you doing? You almost killed that guy. He's like, I see you use chi. I could tell as soon as I met you. Like, you're a powerful chi user. Now, fine, he's not mad at her. What would a normal commander do who can also use that skill? They would teach them that skill. Maybe hone the skills, teach her how to control it and use it like in a better way. Instead, she goes off and like meditates on her own and just like basically trains on her own, and now she's even more powerful. He didn't teach her anything with chi. At least that's not how it looks like to me. There's no one-on-one teaching. We just had this stuff with Star Wars. And again, this is Disney. You think they would have learned from all the backlash. One of the most united things on Star Wars was a lot of people disliking how OP Rey was. And the fact that she like never took damage and was just like too powerful, never really got trained very well, if really at all. And eventually they have like Leia train her. She got like maybe a week of training from Luke. Just, there's not training, and she's too powerful. Then they do the same thing but worse in this. Why? Why, Disney? I do not understand why you would do that. Like, do you not learn from this? It just blew my mind. And they spent millions on this movie, and they're going to lose probably millions because it didn't end up getting released worldwide. They had to do it online. So you lost a bunch of money, and you made the same mistake twice. And this is even a worse version of it. So whatever. So she gets even more powerful by training herself at night. Then eventually they go into battle. And she ends up getting separated from her group. And then she battles the witch. Now the witch is way more powerful than her. And the witch basically tells her, yo, you're a liar. What's your name? Mulan says her fake boy name. And she's like, you're a liar. I see it through you. Your lies basically poison your chi. And she's basically kind of toying with Mulan a little bit. Then like, I believe like throws like a ninja star at her. Which doesn't do damage because I guess the Phoenix again saved her. And Mulan comes to the realization, I need to just be a woman in front of everyone. Takes off her armor, lets down her hair, and now is like Super Saiyan, literally, like she was already really strong. Now they made her like super OP, and apparently she can like teleport now too, because she goes and she's trying to fight and stuff, gets on a horse and somehow in 5 seconds teleports behind the evil army. That's the witches like using these bat things, and they basically set these little forts with all their shields and stuff, and the evil army is like shooting these catapults with precision, these fire catapults, just taking out these big clusters of the army. Super precise. She somehow gets behind them. Literally, she must have teleported with the horse, because it doesn't like it makes no sense that she was able to do this, especially in the time that this change that it happens. And she sets up these helmets. Okay, it kind of makes sense that she's like shooting them with a bow and arrow, going, now she's the best bowman in the army. Okay, fine, I'm fine with that. And the helmets are like tricking them, so now they flip the catapult around. This is, again, it's so annoying. In the original, she uses this part in the movie, and she shoots the rocket thing up at the mountain, and the avalanche, like she uses her intellect and her strategy to basically win the battle against the Huns in this. Here, she sets up the helmets, and it's supposed to do the same thing. These guys have been extremely precise throughout. Like, they have not missed a target with this catapult. Now they miss a target of these helmets by like, I don't know, 200 yards, and they create an avalanche on them. What? It makes no sense. And she calculated that. It's just silly. Like, I see that they wanted to kind of change it, but not change it. And that's where, again, the movie, like, if you want to change it, just change it. Don't try to do something similar, but be like, oh, see, like, she's even more powerful now, and she tricked them into doing this to themselves. Come on. It's stupid. Like, when you see how precise they were, why would they all of a sudden not be precise right now? So then we move on. Her people find out she's a woman. They freak out. They say she's going to be exiled. She says she'd rather be killed. Whatever. She finds the witch again. The witch and her have like this exchange where the witch tells her the bad guys are going to take over the emperor and the capital. And honestly, and not to be weird here, there was like a lot of romantic tension between her and the witch, and I thought they were going to have some romance thing there, and it looked like I don't know if anyone else saw this, but I felt like, I'm like, are they going to have a romance thing with her and this witch? But no, which is fine. You didn't need to have that, but there was a lot of chemistry there to me. She goes back to tell the army, hey, the bad guys are going to go take over the empire, or try to kill the emperor, all that jazz. I don't believe she says that she learned it from the witch. Now, here's another thing with the witch. They could have utilized her so much better. I already said maybe having flashbacks and seeing what the witch went through. The witch is basically kind of helping Mulan. Why is she helping Mulan? Like, what's the purpose of the witch help? Has she ever met Mulan? Is there some reason that she's helping Mulan other than Mulan also being a female chi user? Because that's the only thing I can kind of get out of it, is that Mulan's also a female chi user, and she's trying to like kind of help her because of that. Why not something? Here's an idea I have. Why not have that the witch in it the whole time? You already see that she can change her. Maybe have her secretly training Mulan when Mulan was doing her private training sessions. That would have made more sense in the movie. And like, am I wrong on that? Like, that's just one idea. Maybe have her train her. maybe have the witch be the phoenix the whole time. Because she can make herself into multiple bats. Maybe you can make her have her body there in the phoenix, and she's something sent down from her ancestors. Just an idea. That would have been made more sense than how they utilize the witch. She's just there to be there for like plot, basically to help the plot move along. And it's just cool idea, poor execution again. So she gets this intel from the witch, again using the witch horribly, tells her like companions like, hey, the army's coming here. Her commander's like bashing her, talking about like how he should basically, I believe he's talking about how he should kill her now, or she should be executed now, like she can get her wish. Then the people that are on her team are like, I believe Mulan. Like, she's like the strongest person. She saved us, like all this stuff. And then the commander's like, okay, yeah, all right, you're super brave. Let's do this. What? Again, this is less believable than the cartoon where they have a dragon. In that, they have, if you guys remember, she tries to tell them, they won't believe her, and she has a better connection with those people in the cartoon than in this. And they don't believe her till the Huns show up. This, they're like, all right, we believe you. All right, now you're going to run point. You're like the focal point of our whole army. Let's go in and tear this up. Why? That makes no sense for how the people should act in this situation. Like, who gets convinced that quickly by their subordinates? Especially thousands of years ago. No, that's, again, stupid. Everything with her own, like, army and regiment in this movie is just not good. I talked about how they made the training scenes like 4 times longer. I feel that there's no sense of real camaraderie between them, but they, like, throughout the movie, they try to sprinkle it in, like, oh yeah, like, we're bros. And they're like, they say that they're bros, but they don't show it. Again, they're telling you, they're not showing you, and like, you don't feel like they are. It feels super fake. The like comedic scenes they try to make with the people in the army are just like not believable, and they're not funny. Everything about the regiment or her little like group doesn't make sense to me, and it's just bad. And this is at the tip of the icing on the cake is them just, yeah, let's believe her, and then the commander being like, all right, sounds good. Stupid. Okay. This is an art of failure, this movie. And then the final battle. Did you think it was going to be good? It's silly. Everything is soup, like you can tell, okay, you can predict everything that's going to happen, which, fine. Like, if I can predict it, but it's done well, okay, but it's just cheesy the whole time. Eventually, the big bad is trying to, like, Mulan finds him because the witch helps her find him, and he tries to shoot an arrow at Mulan, and the witch, who's been all powerful this whole time, the arrow's getting shot at Mulan. The witch turns into a falcon, is able to go faster than the arrow, and they've already shown people catching arrows in this, by the way, so this wouldn't be out of the realm. Decides, instead of plucking the arrow out of the sky, you know what, I'm going to sacrifice myself. Goes faster than the arrow and in front of the arrow to sacrifice herself for Mulan. Doesn't make sense. Now again, she was the phoenix the whole time. Phoenixes can rise from the ashes. It makes more sense that she would possibly sacrifice herself because she will be reborn. But no, just, all right, I'm going to let myself die here when it's not necessary. And we're supposed to feel emotion in this, but again, you're just confused as to why the witch did this. It didn't seem necessary. And why does the witch like Mulan so much? It's why? And the witch says like, "Oh, I've done too much. Like I can't be accepted like you are." Okay, I mean, I guess, but again, make her the phoenix. If you want to put the phoenix in, tie both of them in together as one thing, possibly. Would have probably made more sense and be more likable. But instead, they bring the phoenix in again a little bit later when she's having a duel with the guy. For what reason? Not really a reason other than when she stands up at one point, you see the phoenix wings and you're like, wow, this is frightening and beautiful. And she beats the guy. And in the original, she used her intellect again to defeat him. This one just is stronger than the guy. It seems like more so. There is some tactics in it, but not executed well. And the final act of the movie, just not good. I didn't like the final battle. Okay, whatever. It's kind of cheesy. It's Disney. It's like not PG-13 or rated R, and they got to do it in a particular way that it's more kid friendly. Whatever. Okay, I got it. Again, the cinematography in it I didn't like. They do that twisting crap. I can get over it. They do the final act, and they try to make it similar, but worse. Did anyone who's like editing the film, did any of them watch the original before and think, okay, let's keep it very similar where you're like, this is almost the same thing, but just a worse version? I didn't like it, and they tried to stress the family thing again and talk about how family oriented she was when you don't really feel that compared to the other one. I didn't. If you did, great for you, but I feel like most people who have watched the original and watched this new one won't feel like she has the same dedication to her family like she had in the original. It's more she wanted to be a warrior the whole time and goes to do what she wanted to do the whole time. Yeah, she's saving her dad, but you don't feel that family connection. They just put it in there to put it in there. And it just, again, left a bad taste in my mouth at the end. I didn't like how they had her just show up. Her whole family's like embarrassed, and then the royal guard basically comes in right behind her. They could have carpooled together, and like gives all these. You mean the sword? Which the sword in this looked really cool, the jade sword and everything. Give this. Oh, it has the family dedication or whatever the hell it's supposed to be on this sword instead of the. It has the other three things that your old sword used to have. But now it has this other one about how dedicated she is to her family, which you don't get that vibe, but whatever. And in the old one, in the cartoon, the commander like kind of followed behind her, which, okay, it was a little bit quick of a follow behind, but it seemed more realistic because the emperor told the commander like, hey, you won't find a girl like that in every dynasty, or once in every dynasty, or maybe not even. I can't remember exactly how he said it, but he basically eggs the commander on like, hey, go chase after the girl. Okay, makes sense of how he's right behind her. Instead of Mulan is like, I can't accept being in this. Then they send the royal guard exactly the same time as her. It just didn't really make sense. Too convenient. They try to make it similar, but it's just, again, executed poorly. Oh God, this movie, it really frustrated me, and I wanted to like it. And I appreciated that they were trying to make it different by adding things in with the witch. But I don't know what Disney is doing. They are not learning from their mistakes. You have duds once in a while. Fine. But this movie was longer and made me feel absolutely nothing other than being like annoyed and disappointed in the movie. I didn't laugh. I didn't feel compassion. I wasn't scared for them. I didn't care about anyone in the movie. And then some people, they had to take out the commander love interest thing because of all the Me Too stuff, and he has a power dynamic. I mean, okay. How many people would have actually been annoyed by it? Probably not many. There would have been some people who tweet about it, but whatever. Fine, you take it out. And then they tried to slip in that there may be some romantic thing with the guy who they used to hate each other in the beginning. Okay, but it's kind of awkward at the end. And honestly, there was more sexual chemistry between her and the other witch than her and this dude who we're supposed to believe might eventually be a love interest in this. But overall, guys, this was just bad. I don't know how you could spend so much money on this and make it so poorly. I'm just disappointed, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I have Star Wars stuff on this page. My biggest gripe was kind of the Rey stuff. I can get over it, and I'm like, okay, maybe Disney will learn from the mistakes they made, in my opinion, from Star Wars. A lot of people complain about it, but no. They made this exponentially worse in Mulan. They created a superhero who has no flaws. Her only flaw is that she is pretending she's a man at one point, and once she lets down her hair, she's unstoppable. Silly. I hope they learn from this, and I'm making this partially because I hope if enough people do like say that this sucked, maybe they'll learn from it. But I don't know. What did you guys think? If there's things you disagree with me on, please comment below. Hey guys, this is Wade Willis. Thanks for watching my video. Here's 2 other videos I think you might like, and don't forget to subscribe to my page.